Literary techniques. In systematic approach, I've talked about two kinds of knowledge. How to use AI tools and the knowledge about the writing craft. The writing craft can be split into these three aspects: building blocks, literary techniques, and the writing method. We talked about using the 8-step writing method, which looks like this. And here you can see where the literary techniques come in. They are used when you write your scenes. Here is a list of the most important literary techniques. 1. Show don't tell. 2. Vivid imagery. 3. Dialogue. 4. Foreshadowing. And so on. Let's have a quick overview of these techniques. Show don't tell. Instead of just saying how someone feels, you describe what they're doing to let the reader see it for themselves. Example. Tell, he was very happy to see his friend. Show, his face lit up, and he broke into a wide grin as he rushed forward, pulling his friend into a tight embrace. Vivid imagery. This is when you use really descriptive words to help the reader picture what's happening or how things look. Example. The soft water lapped against the weathered dock, each gentle wave illuminated by the shimmering reflection of the moonlight. Dialogue. This is when characters talk to each other, helping reveal their thoughts and feelings. A warning. Avoid talking heads. Don't just have characters talk to each other without any context. Instead, blend their actions, feelings, thoughts, and surroundings with their dialogue. This makes the conversation more engaging and realistic. Example. You know, I've been thinking, Maya said quietly, sitting cross-legged on the grass, her gaze fixed on the flickering fireflies. Maybe I should just go for it and travel the world. Really? Marco turned to her, eyebrows raised, as he plucked a blade of grass and gently twirled it between his fingers. The light painted a warm hue on his face. You mean leave everything behind? Not everything, she replied, her voice soft. Just the things that hold me back. Foreshadowing. It's a hint about something that's going to happen later in the story. Example. At the start of the story, the main character refrains to climb a tree with her friends because she's terrified of heights. Later, when she is chased by the villain and his soldiers, she finds herself standing at the edge of a wobbly rope bridge suspended over a deep, treacherous gap. Her fear of heights resurfaces, but this time she realizes she must summon her courage to cross the bridge and escape. Metaphor. This compares two things directly, saying one thing is another to show a deeper connection. Example. The classroom was a zoo, filled with the chaotic sounds of laughter and shouting as the students bounced around like wild animals. Characterization. This is how a writer builds and reveals personalities of the characters, allowing readers to form a deeper understanding of who they are and how they interact with the world around them. Example. As Margaret stood at the door, her hands nervously twisting the hem of her sweater, her eyes darted away from the crowd, avoiding contact with anyone. It was evident from her slouched shoulders and the way she constantly bit her nails that being in social situations drained her, but she was here, hopeful to find a place where she belonged. Pathetic fallacy. This is when the weather or environment reflects a character's emotions, like a stormy day for a sad moment. Example. On the day of their wedding, dark clouds loomed ominously overhead, mourning the union. A cool breeze swept through the chapel, causing the candles to flicker and the guests to shiver uneasily. Despite the couple's happiness, a sense of foreboding filled the air, with every drop of rain echoing the worries of loved ones fearing for their future. The world was holding its breath, unsure if it should celebrate or weep. Personification. This gives human-like qualities to animals or objects to make them more relatable. Example. Night wrapped its velvety cloak around the town, softly whispering lullabies that soothed the weary souls and coaxed them into a peaceful slumber under the twinkling stars. Flashback. It's a scene that takes the reader back to an earlier time to add context to the story. Example. The sound of sirens in the distance sent Tom's heart racing, and suddenly he was back on that fateful night 2 years ago. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through him as he watched helplessly from the side of the road, flames engulfing his car, the memories replaying as vividly as the panic that gripped him then. Juxtaposition. This places two things side by side to highlight their differences or similarities. Example. In the pristine hospital room where the newborn baby cooed in his crib, the harsh beeping of machines echoed from the room next door, where an elderly man struggled for breath. The contrast of new life against the fragility of death created an atmosphere heavy with the bittersweet reality of existence. Symbolism. Using an object or idea to represent something bigger or more important. Example. As Mia stepped carefully through the crumbling garden, the remnants of vibrant blossoms lay wilted and brown at her feet. A breeze rustled the leaves, and she paused, brushing her fingers over a withered petal, recalling how her mother used to tend to these flowers with love. Now, like the garden, Mia felt untended and forgotten. Motif. A recurring theme or idea in a story that helps reinforce its central message. Example. Birds in flight. The imagery of birds soaring through the sky recurs in various scenes, symbolizing freedom and the desire to escape. For instance, every time the protagonist, Sam, feels trapped in his mundane life, he looks up to see a flock of birds flying overhead. This motif reflects his yearning for freedom and the struggle to break free from the constraints that hold him back, serving as a constant reminder of the possibilities that exist beyond his current situation. Epiphany. A moment when a character realizes something important that changes their understanding. Example. As Fiona stood in front of a mirror, preparing for yet another job interview, she suddenly recognized the familiar anxiety gnawing at her. It hit her that she had been trying to fit herself into roles that didn't resonate with who she truly was, chasing external validation instead of acknowledging her own strengths and dreams. With newfound clarity, she realized that it was time to pursue a career aligned with her passions, leading her to turn down the corporate job offer and instead focus on her writing, a decision that would redefine her future. In summary, here are 12 important literary techniques. If you want to make interesting novels, you must learn them, and also learn how to use them to steer the AI in the right direction. That's everything for this tutorial. Thanks for watching.